Let's Podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovias, inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Print management, document management, get your stuff into the cloud. Although, Joe, before we start, I did want to circle back to our friends at Empire Properties. Should I call our folks at Empire Properties to get you a handle on the wall so that you don't fall in the studio and hurt yourself? You're fragile, dude. Careful.
Typing, I was writing. It happened in slow motion. It was a real senior moment. Hit my first one. It was nice.
Your first one.
My first senior moment.
Sure, yeah. Of course. You okay?
I am sore, but I'm actually hurting more from whatever happened with the Panthers yesterday with their decision. That hurts me more.
Why does that hurt you more? Because I was right for once?
No. Not that you were right, but you weren't really advocating for them to bench him, but just.
So here's where I was surprised and not surprised.
I was surprised. I was genuinely surprised because it did seem like Dave Canales was like, this is my mantra. This is my quarterback. Mm-hmm. This is why I'm here. I'm going to fix this kid. This is what I'm doing. He's our quarterback.
Yeah.
And obviously in a post-game situation, you're going to have a belief to that. So,
well, here's Dave Canales on Sunday, and then we'll give you Dave Canales on Monday, and then I'll tell you where I was surprised and where I wasn't surprised.
Did you, Dave, ever consider subbing in Andy Dalton for Bryce Young, given the offensive inefficiency?
Bryce is our quarterback. I'd love to see this thing just continue to take the next steps offensively right now.
Will he start next week?
Bryce is our quarterback. We're going to just continue to shore up and fix the things we need to fundamentally from a scheme standpoint. All those things. These are all valuable reps. These are all valuable games. We'll learn a lot from this game, and hopefully we'll take another step this week.
So when he was asked directly by Joe Person of The Athletic, hey, this upcoming week, are you considering Andy Dalton? No, Bryce is our quarterback, straight up. Get to Monday, the news breaks from the NFL insiders before Dave Canales has a chance to talk to the media. He opens things up by saying, hey, look, by now you all know what the deal is. We're going Andy Dalton in week 3. He said this was a group decision.
Had some conversations with coaches, with Dan Brandt. So had to gather a lot of information through this morning and made that decision after looking at it that this is the best decision for our group, for our team going forward.
Dave, how difficult is it to evaluate a roster when you guys are not moving the ball down the field, not just on offense, but the entire product?
Yeah, there's a lot of factors. We want to play more football. A lot of factors that go into it, for this decision, and ultimately just kind of lands on my shoulders to be able to make the best decision for our group, to give us our best chance to win this week. And we focus on the weeks. We focus on the challenge at hand, and we feel like Andy gives us our best chance to meet the challenge.
Dave Tepper say in the past that he gets consulted on the big decisions. Mm-hmm. What was his role in this as you guys talked about?
I want to keep that private. What I would like to say, though, is this is something after I watched the film, I looked at it, had a thought, started working on talking to the guys that we make decisions with. Certainly a lot of parties involved there. And ultimately this comes on me, and my number one responsibility is to help the Panthers win. And so this move, I believe, puts us in the best chance to do that this week.
All right, so that's Dave Canales yesterday's press conference. There's a lot to unpack in how he went about this. I joked last Thursday, how long was it going to take from optimism bully to go from what a wonderful day, attacking, I want to be spent, to looking like a guy that realizes there's a shit ton of work that needs to be done, and I'm a little bit overwhelmed right now with everything that's going on. So it took 2 weeks. I can't say it any more plainly than that. We're in Panthers hell, and it's only week 2 going into week 3. It's pretty wild.
My initial reaction to this was he got called to the principal's room, had his meeting with Tepper, and the Tepper in a teapot decided, you know what? We're gonna go with a different quarterback.
I disagree. The reason why I disagree. So here's where I'm surprised and not surprised. I am not surprised that we're at a point where Bryce Young was going to get benched. At the rate we were going, he was going to be benched at some point. I just didn't think it was going to be after week 2. I didn't think it was going to be after the way Dave Canales talked about it on Sunday. But I knew at some point, given the trajectory, his ass was going to get benched. You're left with no choice because he's been bad, straight up bad. which gets to the why, that's the not surprised part. The surprise part is it happened now. But you say you think it's a David Tepper thing. I disagree. I think it's a locker room thing. I think that Canales, when he went back and looked at the whole game and he realized I got 2 wide receivers who are pissed off. I got Taylor Moton who's mad. I got a locker room that I can lose right now if I insist on coddling a guy who's hurting the team. And that's where I think Canales finally went, all right, for the sake of actually winning football games, because that's ultimately what his job is, to win football games.
Don't tell that to Steve Wilkes.
I get that, but there's racism involved when we talk about that, okay? But when it comes to this, it's about winning football games. And you have to make this decision. Do I try to make this thing work, the square peg, round hole situation? Or do I make the decision that's best for the team? And the decision that's best for the team is to sit Bryce Young. How long is he going to sit? I have no idea. Andy Dalton can go out there and suck on Sunday. But right now, it makes a lot of sense to go ahead and bench him. And I don't think I know it's easy to say it's Tepper. I don't think it's a Tepper thing.
Canales is in a tough situation because I think, again, he's specifically hired to fix Bryce Young, to make sure that Bryce Young becomes the player that they want him to be and what they invested him in, right? So that's like your overarching job. Now, individually, you're right. Technically, you are trying to win games, but ultimately, you're trying to get to a point where you've built something and are not just scrambling and not, going to run the wing T and run the football and milk the clock and do all of the other things that Wilkes basically did and other smart coaches do when they know they have a talent deficiency, right? But ultimately, to me, I think I would just keep throwing the damn guy out there until you absolutely know. And maybe you're right. Maybe that was Saturday. Maybe that was Sunday.
What more do you need to see?
Maybe that was Sunday.
No, but I'm asking you a serious question. What more did you need to see out of Bryce Young in 2 weeks where he looks like his confidence is shot? He looks like a guy that is in a spiral. If it's about salvaging Bryce Young, if it's about making sure you've got something, well, sometimes playing through it ain't the move. Sometimes it's, hey man, look, I've seen enough. You look like you are mentally cooked.
You need a step back.
You got to take a step back.
And that's fine. This also is Dave Canales' new head coach, right? Giving him some time and some seasoning. He doesn't make the same mistake in the post-game press conference with the eagerness. No, that's my quarterback. That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback. Because that's why it looks like Tepper, because he was so adamant on Sunday. Then all of a sudden on Monday, and he met with Tepper on Sunday.
Of course.
Then all of a sudden on Monday, it's, I decide. And then he danced around the answer because obviously he knows that Reich got in trouble for exposing all of Tepper's conversations with him. So he did have the wherewithal to say, I am not going to tell you anything that happened with me and Tepper. And that's probably a good thing for Canales. To me, though, ultimately, this is what they should have done last year, getting back to our conversation yesterday about year 1, year 2.
Oh, sure.
Coaching year 1, Reich versus Canales. This is what they should have done. If they were sitting here going, he's the pocket Mahomes, well, guess what? You put pocket Mahomes in the back burner the same way the Chiefs did.
Elsewhere, it's a very quarterbacky day yesterday.
Huge.
Dave Doran met with the media. No real update on Grayson McCall. He was listed as day-to-day.
Day-to-day. Not a season-ending thing was the exact verbiage.
But CJ Bailey will be the starting quarterback against Clemson.
CJ's team going forward.
How would you
until Grayson's healthy?
How would you interpret that?
We talked to Dave Doran before the season down in Charlotte. We talked about how I thought he handled last year's situation with MJ Morris and Brennan Armstrong on a messaging standpoint perfectly. I wrote about this today for the OG fans. I keep going back to the David Hale story about just the severity of Grayson McCall's concussion last year.
Yeah.
And I don't think people publicly understood or knew that before that story came out before the Tennessee game. And hopefully we'll have a chance to talk to David Hale soon about that. But I thought maybe their messaging yesterday could have been, hey, this is what Grayson's going through. This is the reality of the situation. And the severity of that concussion from last season obviously cost him 6 games. And moving forward, we have to do what's best for him as a person and his long-term health. I would have understood that if they came out and said that yesterday. They chose a different path. And I'm sure that was with Grayson's and his family's blessing to say, we're not going to get into this. We'll leave the door open, essentially.
Yeah, you might need to go back to him.
I don't know. That part I don't know.
No, well,
that
that's
part
the
I
thing.
don't know.
Okay, so if he's look,
because there's two different things here, right? Like there's like the NC State football needs,
yes,
and then there's like legitimately when someone like just like Tua Tagovailoa, when someone has severe concussion issues, and again, if you haven't read the David Hale story, like he blacked out, he doesn't remember it at all.
Yeah,
like that's not a normal concussion. That's not a you got hit after lunch and started throwing up and we're dizzy. Like that's a true. And he talked about this in the article of. We had to have him and his family had to have a conversation about what am I going to do? Am I going to do this again? So I think that's the prism you kind of have to look at how even McCall played in the first two games. He looked tentative to me.
He did.
You know, he was a guy at Coastal Carolina who basically ran the option. And he really, I don't blame him for not wanting to run against Western Carolina. It's a 1AA opponent who you should murder, but they didn't. So he just looked rusty, tentative, all of those things to me. Even in the first part of the Louisiana Tech game, he still didn't look like
he didn't look right.
You know, it was sharp.
Yeah.
And then he comes out of the game. They're not saying it's related to his concussions, but it's logical to connect to some dots to that. I mean,
yeah, and I'm not going to get into the weeds of that. We're all adults. We're all smart. We've seen this before. I think we can all understand it without just outwardly saying it. I think we can understand what's going on here. You know, as it relates to things like Grayson McCall and concussions or Tua Tagovailoa, what we saw last week and how his career is going to play out. I mean, ultimately, football players want to play. And if they're given the green light, they understand the risks in the first place. They're probably going to try to go out there and do it again. The curiosity that I have is this is not Dave Doran's first rodeo when it comes to quarterback shuffles or surprises, or what we thought we had going into the year is not what we had the first third of the year. Hell, not even the last going 2/3 of the year.
Yeah, I mean, Bailey will be the 9th different quarterback to start for State since the start of the 2019 season.
So our guy Murph asked Dave Doran this question yesterday during his press availability about, you know, as I joked yesterday, NC State football and quarterbacks recently are a very familiar TV show. It's like Entourage. Oh no, the guys got themselves in trouble again. How are they going to work themselves out of this situation? Something happened and the movie ended up being a success, and here they go. Vinny Chase does it again, right? It's kind of like NC State with their season and the flux at quarterback. And Murph asked him a question about that, and I thought Dave's response was good.
That's an unfortunate thing to be used to. You know, I had a run there for a while with Jacoby Brissett and Ryan Finley where we didn't have that problem, and now we have. And so, you know, I don't know if that helps or not helps. I do think there's a history with the next man in playing really good ball for us, and you know, that's what we expect. And I think all of our kids completely believe in CJ and know that he'll go in and play his butt off. Lex Thomas is our next quarterback. And so Lex has been, getting reps all year, all through spring, all through fall camp. He's ready to go. And so that's what we'll look like until Grayson's healthy.
So again, that was Dave Doran in his press conference yesterday. So if I'm going to, this is my speculation mode as it relates to what's going forward. I don't expect NC State to win on Saturday, but I do view it as what do they have in CJ Bailey in this moment against top tier ACC competition? And if they see like they have something, then I'm pretty sure it's going to be Bailey's team the rest of the way, provided he stays healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And if something happens with CJ Bailey, then they can go back to Grayson McCall. They can slow walk this with Grayson. Yeah, as we see this in hockey all the time. Do we need Andrei Svechnikov back on the ice right now? No, not necessarily. We want to make sure he's 100% healthy if and when we do get into that moment. I kind of have the same
I think
situation.
You're probably
with
closer to a Freddie Anderson here, guy with a blood clot.
Or Freddie, okay, that's a better example.
I think you're underselling where Grayson's at in this point.
I could be.
I think he was at that point last year.
I could be.
And so I think even if it's an ankle turn or something else,
yeah.
When you think about getting hurt, that's how you get hurt.
True.
I mean, that's how you cannot play football that way. If you think I'm just going to play to avoid getting hurt, then you're going to get hurt. Mm-hmm. That's how it happens.
Or you're just not going to be effective.
One thing I would say about CJ Bailey that's really impressive that now seemingly Dave is going to be 3 for 3 on quarterbacks out of high school as opposed to the quarterbacks he's choosing out of the portal.
Mm-hmm.
The high school he played out at Miami last year, Chaminade Prep, was one of the best high schools, was state champions in Florida and one of the best high schools in the country. Jeremiah Smith, the receiver from Ohio State, who is the next big thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Ohio State's best receiver, Chris Carter and Joey Galloway, are both like, this could be the best receiver in the history of Ohio
Didn't
State.
they just have that?
Exactly. Exactly. Right? Marvin Harrison, right?
Like, did we just have that?
Okay.
Anyway.
So that was his high school team, man. They were a really good team in Florida.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a little bit about like a prep school in Miami, like things they're not going to put up with. Like if you have a bunch of really good players, guess whose parents and everyone else's handler is going to be like, hey, we're not having this kid at quarterback.
Right.
So the fact that he had that pedigree, I also like the fact when he came into the game, he looked like himself.
Mhm.
Wasn't trying to be anybody else. He was taking shots over the middle. That's going to be tougher against Clemson, obviously.
Sure.
It's a faster game. Louisiana Tech dropped a couple interceptions too. So there's a little bit of give and take there when you have a guy like that with that type of arm. 6'6", great poise, made some plays with his legs. I understand why you didn't want to roll the dice with him coming out of high school, why you go and get a 6-year Grayson McCall. But ultimately, I think it was one of those scratch-off ticket situations. If Grayson could do it, awesome. Look what we have. Now, you putting yourself on a fast-forward button with Bailey, but as we learned last year, can you keep him out there? Can you keep him healthy? Will he play more than 4 games? Is this one of the games that's going to count towards his, one of the years that's going to count towards his clock?
Let me ask you this. How active are the parents on social media?
So far, we haven't seen any of that.
Okay, well, you
So
know
that's
what?
a good thing.
Hey,
That's a good thing.
you got that going for you.
Also, keep this in mind, which is a good thing. He tore it up in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
Bailey tore it up in the spring. So somebody could have come after him.
Yeah.
I know Miami was hot and heavy after him.
Mhm.
Obviously, they end up with Cam Ward,
I was
right?
going to say, I think things worked out for Miami.
Right. Well, they're still good. But this is still in play, is what I'm
That's
getting
fair.
at. You
That's
know what I
fair.
mean?
That's
so
fair.
I understand why some people are like, well, if this guy was so good, why didn't you start playing him? Because he's 18 years old.
Mhm.
I would much rather have a 24-year-old in his 6th year than I would a first guy who's never done any of this
I do
stuff.
think.
So you get the baptism by fire now down at Clemson against that defense. You know, it's going to be the real question. The real challenge was we talked about Bryce Young and keeping him mentally intact. That's the big challenge from this week. Not necessarily winning the football game as Clemson. It's getting out of this game with CJ Belly still
Yes.
with that type of mentality.
That's what I'm
of,
looking for.
I want to play the way that I'm going to play, and I'm
Yeah.
going to show you my talent.
I'm not looking at the NC State Clemson game from a perspective of win or loss for NC State. I'm very much of the opinion that NC State's going to go to Death Valley and they're going to lose. They could get their ass handed to them. I don't know. But what does CJ Bailey look like? Is there something to build on?
Yeah.
And then that's where NC State's season will really be made. And of course, they'll probably cobble together another 8 or 9 wins, which is what I'm expecting for the Wolfpack this year.
Again, wild to consider. We spent this entire offseason going, man, State's only got 2 games on their schedule this year, Tennessee and Clemson. And now here we are suddenly going, those 2 games, I mean, the Tennessee game, that didn't matter. And now you're like, Clemson, that doesn't matter. Now all of a sudden, those other 8 that were supposed to be pushovers suddenly all look very, very important.
Joe Wolfpack. Joe, you been doing this? How long you been doing this?
Too long.
Okay. It's triangle football.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this is.
Finding its level.
Triangle football always finds its level.
Housekeeping.
Big thanks to Inovana for sponsoring Housekeeping. You can check them out online at inovana.com. They're actually coming to the house today. They don't come to my house every day. Just every 2 weeks.
Every other.
No. Every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks. That's how it works.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Inovana.
You mentioned OG fans. You can go to OG fans right now, ogtrianglemedia.com. Sign up for $13 a month. You get premium podcasts. You get newsletters. Joe will write about something today. Brownlow wrote about something yesterday with the Panthers. She was trying that optimism bully. I don't think it worked out for her yesterday. I really don't think it worked out for her. Of course, we got Canes coverage and more. It's all at ogtrianglemedia.com. I'll be at the Raleigh Sports Club tomorrow. That'll be a lot of fun. So come hang out. I think the lunch gets served at 11:30. The lunch is fantastic. It's an old school church
baby.
lunch, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. They got the mashed potatoes with the gravy. They got the pies, all that stuff. It's a fantastic lunch. So I'll be out there tomorrow. It should be a lot of fun. Big thanks to Breeze Through. You can check them out online at breezethrough.com. If you're looking at tailgate, well, they have options for you at Breeze Through. All you got to do is like a first come, first serve situation at that Carter Finley spot. They got a food truck that'll serve up some great food. They got the beer fridge if you just need to pick up something and walk on over to your tailgate spot or meet up with some folks. They got everything you need at Breeze Through, conveniently located just outside most of your football stadiums here in the state of North Carolina. Maybe you're not going to the game. Maybe you're stressed out by all this football. Maybe you need to go to Nature's Relief before you kick it on the couch and watch all that football. Right? You with a hippie sip? You want a gummy watching football?
Chiller.
Ain't no stress. You're like, hey, man, whatever happens, happens. It's all good. You can check that out at Nature's Relief hempstore.com. That's RELEAF hempstore.com. Also, big thanks to our friends over at Homefield. You can check them out online at homefieldapparel.com. I actually tweeted at Homefield yesterday because I went to a vintage shop, Trunk Show, which is not too far from the studio. And I found these static clings that were apparently made by a company in Raleigh back in the 80s, I'm assuming.
Yeah, you can't. Well, you can see it. You need to move your bubble butt Wake Forest logo up or onto the Carolina flag, I think.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
Yeah, because you can't really see the glory of that thing.
Yeah, it looks like a Weezer or Waylon Jennings logo knockoff.
And looks like a baby got back. I mean,
right. And then I got the PD over here. So anyway,
PD looks good.
PD's looking good. But I had messaged Homefield like, dude, this flying dub, like you need this. I need the flying dub on a hoodie.
The Sir Mix-a-Lot Wake Forest logo.
So check them out online. Use that promo code OG24 to save 15% off your order. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline is the athletics director at North Carolina. He is Bubba Cunningham. Bubba, thanks for the time, and off to a 3-0 start with football.
Yeah, really happy with that. Going up to Minnesota, it was a great experience going up there and to play a great night game, delayed by an hour. And, it's wonderful to win that game. Really sorry for Max. He just got back the other day, and that was a tough time for him. But the team has really rallied and has played well. And I think the schedule allows us to, figure out who our quarterback is. And, playing both of them the other day was a good thing. And I'm sure we'll see more of that as we go forward. But happy for the way we're starting. And, the games will get progressively more difficult as we go here.
You're a how can I help you kind of guy. So football season ends, obviously in disappointment from last year to last 2 years. Your conversations with Mac Brown, what was your how can I help you conversation with him like after the end of last season?
Yeah, he's made a couple of changes on the defensive side of the ball, and I think that's where we've missed out. He's talked about it a lot. I mean, he's a professional. He's been doing this a long time, and I think every time he has a media press conference or he talks to the media, he's very articulate in what we need to change to get better, particularly at the end of the year. And I think a lot of that has to do with snap counts. He thinks defensively that we get worn down at the end of the year, and they're trying to address that. They do that from the very beginning. They do it from, fall camp right into the season to try to reduce that and get more kids playing more downs. And I think they've done a pretty good job of that so far.
I am curious, part of those conversations, Mac has been very adamant about his status. He's not retiring. He's not going away anytime soon. I know that was part of it at kickoff. That kind of made some headlines. I mean, last year's conversation was last year's conversation. How do you, as an athletics director, when you do those check-ins at the end of the year, how do those conversations go? Did it come up? Do you plan on bringing it up? Where do you stand on that?
No, those year-end meetings are just a time when you stop playing games. When you have conversations all year long about how you doing, what's going on, how can we help, those kinds of things. And coaches just put their heart and soul into their profession. And then at the end of the year, they're generally tired and saying, okay, and they try to evaluate. Now, Hansen this year, he didn't come to the conclusion he was tired at the end of the season. He came to the conclusion he didn't have the energy to start the next season. So, Mac, as we've said before, when you hire somebody his age, you worry about recruiting. Then when you watch him work, you realize that recruiting energizes the guy. And so the season does the same thing. So the conversation with Mac is, as long as you're happy doing what you're doing, you're energized doing what you're doing, we're having success, you can coach here as long as you want. And he's been great to work with.
You mentioned Anson. I appreciate you having one of my fellow NC State grads as the replacing a legend, maybe inarguably, potentially, the greatest college coach of all time. You replaced with an NC State guy. That's awesome, man. I appreciate you continuing the Year of the Wolf that way.
Well, anything we can do to please you, Joe. That's exactly what I get up in the morning, think about how do I please our coaches, and then how do I please Joe? You're not quite first, but you're at least
I
in the
mean, I'm
top
on
2
the
or
list.
3. So I give you credit
I'm
for
on the
that.
list. I mean,
You are on the list.
that's all that really matters. I'm ecstatic for Damon, though.
Damon's done a terrific job.
Interim
Hanson brought him in a few years ago, about 7 or 8 years ago, and he's done a fabulous job for us. But as I said at the press conference, that we really need to take a look and see who's the best coach available for us right now. It may well be Damon, but the job is so big. We've won 22 national championships. It deserves a really thorough look and evaluation, and that's what we're doing right now. And so I missed the opportunity before, but I may as well say it right now. I'll probably have to call Brad Stevens, see what he thinks. I'll have to call Jay Wright. And then, if, I see if they'll turn it down. But if they do, then I'll start looking probably a little bit wider.
Well done.
I mean-
Well done. Well done.
You left out Shaka Smart. That's the headline. That's the headline. That's the headline right there. Clip it, save it. Not interested in the job. We're gonna get Bubba in the headlines again. Although, which is kind of that's not you. That is not you. I think we've had enough conversations, and you've been here long enough that you don't want to be in the headlines, which I completely understand and respect. So when things do kind of bubble over, I always wonder how Bubba Cunningham is going to handle these types of things, whether it's with all the uncertainty in college athletics and all the speculation about college realignment, and then the UNC board having their moment that kind of dragged you into it. But that's not what I'm interested in. What I'm actually curious about is, as forward thinking as you are, and I understand that you're always constantly looking at where things are going and making sure that North Carolina is in the best position to take advantage of it. I think it was around this time last year, I was reading a newsletter that is put together by John Orand, who is now at Puck. For those who aren't familiar with John Orand, he's a longtime sports business reporter, very well connected, great stuff. And there was a blurb in there about essentially a college football think tank that was looking at different ways to present college football, almost in line with how Gilio and I have talked about it, and that you have this separated football entity and the conferences can get back to what they really are about, regional play with tournaments and everything else with like-minded schools. And you were listed as part of as part of that think tank. I'm just kind of curious, is that something that's still going on right now? Is that something you're still part of?
Yeah, it's a great question. And there's a lot of ideas and thoughts about where we're going. There's a talk about consolidation in the industry. Maybe we're going to have 2 super conferences. And then there's others that are saying, how do we include everybody? And I've been a part of a number of conversations with a group that has talked about trying to include everyone. And, the environment's changing. We've been told twice in the last 40 years by the Supreme Court that we're in violation of antitrust. NIL, cost of attendance, all of those things all the changes we've made recently may not be in direct relationship to the cases, but at least it's an indirect relationship, whether it's cost of attendance or NIL. NIL is more direct. And so what does the future look like? And I've been thinking for a number of years that we're probably going to get to collective bargaining at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to me that, I'm not a lawyer. And so the simple mind that I have would be that those that sign the contract would be considered management. Those that participate in the game would be considered labor. And at some point, they have to agree and collectively bargain on what the relationship is, whether you're an employee or not, whether you're a student or not. Those things I think will happen over time, but there has to be an agreement between management and labor. To me, the simplest one that we haven't utilized is the CFP. The CFP has, right now it has 11 games. It used to have 3, and it has 1 contract and 1 group of students that play. Every other television contract has multiple sports, multiple kids, multiple tentacles that are harder to separate. So it's always seemed to me that football nexus is the most logical one to create some kind of a collectively bargained situation. So anybody that wants to talk about how we make it better and how we provide more resources to those that generate it, given this environment, I'm happy to talk to them. So yeah, I've had a number of different conversations about that.
Okay, so first off, how did you get involved with this? Is it just your long-standing?
Yeah, I just think just general conversations about it. I mean, I'm worried about the future of college sports in general.
Mhm.
The economic driver, as we've always said, is football. So
Mhm.
how can you create the economic driver that supports everybody else?
So what I'm curious about is we can all have ideas. I mean, you could be in the room with us, and Gilio and I do this on the podcast all the time, of kind of constructing ways to build this a little bit differently with the realities that are in place, I guess. But we don't have to worry about consensus. Like, it's hard enough to get consensus in your own conference. How do you get consensus across all of college football? How do you kind of feel you can tackle that?
Yeah, well, I think the group that I've worked with and talked to, they have a number of different relationships. They've built leagues. They've done those things before. So they wanted my perspective on what does college sports look like? What do we think we need? They're the ones that are developing a broader scope that might be able to do it for all of us. And obviously you've got 130 schools playing at the highest level. You've got what the number is now in the Power 4 or Power 4.5. I don't know what we call it now. It's Pac-12 or whatever's going on there. So, I think if we're going to get something through Congress, we need really broad-based participation. If this goes to consolidation, you have 24 states. I don't think that's enough to get something through Congress. I think you need a broader support to support college athletics because we're playing in all 50 states. And I do think we need it. I think we need a national governing body. I think we need help on state laws to preempt it. And I think to get that through Congress, you're going to say, this is an agreement we have to have with the players just because they have to be compensated because of the way we are right now. And I think we need your help so that we can have national rules. And I think the broader you are, the more likely you're going to have success with Congress.
That's a 10,000-foot view, which you've always had. And I'll give you credit right now, because I remember when you were hired and you came from Tulsa and before that Ball State. And I remember you telling me, we had like a lunch. It wasn't just me. There's a lot of people. This is before I really started to irritate you and/or you like me, right? In an irritating kind of way. And I thought, this guy is so full of shit, right? Like if you cared so much about Ball State, you'd still fucking be there, dude. Like, Tulsa, awesome. Yeah, sure, man. Like, Larry, you moved up in the world for a reason, right? You weren't just going to pedal down there. But the truth of the matter is, here we are in 2024. You still care about that. I know you do. I know you still care about those other leagues and the future of these schools. And I think that's why you're participating in some of these conversations that you are. But that is a 10,000-foot view. I'm thinking closer to home now with the pending House ruling. How is Carolina financially prepared to potentially handle that 20 million plus number that's looming out there?
Yeah. Let me go back to your statement there, your preface on this.
That was a compliment, actually, right?
Well, think about it. Since I've been here, now we do have the CFP. I don't even think we had the CFP at the time. Maybe we were just getting into the CFP at that point. We had 14. We had 4 teams in, and I think we said the first 7 years of the 28 spots, 22 went to 5 teams. Now we go to 12. So now we're going to have more teams that are going to be able to participate in the national championship. More teams down the end of the year, they're going to have hope that they might be in. More teams at the beginning of the year, including the group of 5, saying, hey, we have a chance to get there. We're talking about potentially not conference expansion, but tournament expansion with the basketball tournament as well. Again, giving more teams hope. And that's what I think long term, that's what drives college athletics, an ability to compete for the championship. So I'm really, really happy with that. So I was probably, I came here and I said, I think the tournament should be 128. And boy, I got crucified, probably by you, Joe.
No,
but I still think that's what college sports is about. So I'll continue to look for opportunities to expand it. As it relates to
Joe, I was the Joe who was ripping the 128. Like, why don't we just hand out participation trophies at that point? Everybody rails against that. But anyway, that's another conversation.
Put them all in. I'm with you, Bubba. But financially,
it all started with the orange slices at soccer. That's where the whole thing went right down the bottom, right down on the bottom.
How do you feel you guys are financially situated for the potential House ruling coming, and how the real changes, because it's all going to be incremental. And again, to your credit, you said forever the only way anything's going to change is through Congress. So again, I'm tipping my hat to you and your foresight.
Yeah, I think we're in good shape. I mean, it's really difficult to think about how we're going to do a revenue share, how we're going to do NIL, how we're going to support 28 teams. Things that we're looking at right now, and I think it's a real credit to this state, the roster caps and the unlimited scholarships with tuition remission. I think we have an opportunity to maybe leverage tuition remission to help us a little bit more in that area. And the state was ahead of the curve when they granted that to the schools. Trying to come up with the revenue share is going to be a challenge. What's that?
What does tuition remission mean?
It means that for our out-of-state students on a full scholarship, we get charged in-state rate.
Okay.
So that saves us money. And so our Olympic sports that are equivalency sports that are given partials, if we move them up to fulls, it really won't cost us the full amount of money. It'll be a discounted rate. So that's a benefit to us. So we should be able to help some of the baseballs and lacrosses and some of those other sports that don't have the full complement right now.
I'm disappointed you don't have a Jordan pin on right now, but maybe you're just getting ready for your NCAA tournament chairman duties where you're not allowed to represent anything. So I'll give you some slack there, but Michael Jordan, your main benefactor, the guy who's still helping you get recruits all these years later. He famously said that's when I took it personal. How did you take the board saying to you, hey man, let me see those numbers. Let me see what you guys are up to. Let me see how you're running this department.
No. All right, Joe, if you're going to bring up the committee, I may have to recuse myself.
You do need to recuse. But I know you're not allowed to wear anything on those national appearances. Like you're not even allowed to wear blue. You can't pull a Jim Phillips and put the blue tie on. Like you're about to get regulated.
I mean, you know that. Do you need to borrow a tie? I got a couple that I never wear anymore.
Yeah. No, you've asked me. It's a challenge. It is a challenge. We have about $130 million budget. 28 guys know these numbers, 28 sports, 850 kids. Interesting thing with the roster caps that are part of the settlement discussion. It's not settled yet because she hasn't accepted the terms, but we'll go from 185 student athletes to 735 with 28 teams. So those roster caps will reduce our squad list by 120.
Okay.
So we will have fewer student athletes, assuming the settlement gets approved, we'll have fewer student athletes. Now, the question will be, how can we support them financially? Because we currently have about 320 scholarships over those 28 teams. That will allow us to go to 735. Obviously, we're not going to go there, but we'll have the ability to add some scholarships, and we have to be able to find revenue sources that will support the revenue share. So that becomes our challenge. But again, I think you guys know I'll supply any data that anyone wants. We're required to put in an NCAA report every year. We're required to do the EADA report every year. So our information is very, very public. So I'll be happy to share any of that data and then try to figure out where the priorities are and how we're going to fund it.
But look, you're a college lifer. There's always an element of bluster when it comes to colleges. Or college sports in general. Coaches are constantly recruiting, so they have to kind of drum up stuff, right? You got to go on the classic pulled pork circuit to get money from donors, and there's going to be things that are said. So that kind of bluster probably does not surprise you. I'm sure you've heard some other things in different corners as it relates to where you need to be and what you need to be doing, right? I'm sure if I could only look at your emails, I'm guessing you probably have a donor that's telling you exactly what you need to do, right?
Well, everybody has passion for their sport. I mean, and that's what's great about it. And again, I know at times you think it's bluster. I'm just, I've been doing this for a long time. Yeah, I do it and I talk about it because I love it. I mean, I do think there's really great value. And you've heard me talk about, winning the national championship in basketball is fantastic. The Aaron Matson story is absolutely wonderful. But it gives me chills to think about winning the ACC Women's Fencing Championship on Ron Miller's 50th anniversary as our coach. I mean, it's that kind of stuff that's really cool. I mean, the think tank and media rights and, all of those things are the economics behind these opportunities to play. Mm-hmm. And so, again, back to the Ball State and the Tulsas, those schools have been supporting intercollegiate athletics because there's value to the school to have them. Our economic model is different. We have to generate the revenue to do that. And so you end up talking about that more, but the real driver and the passion the coaches talk about, the best 2 hours of their day is on the field. Yeah. And, my best hours are going to be at competition and developing relationships with kids. And again, you're not selling. It's who you are and what you believe in.
It's not you. I know you love this. That's why you take your forehead selfies at various sporting events, because I know you want to be there. I get all that stuff. I'm just talking about the people who have opinions. It's the reason why Mac Brown says, yeah, at the end of the year, I bring in the top 6 donors to get their opinions about stuff, because not only do you have that athletic competition that you love, but there's a lot of money behind it, and there's a lot of balancing of keeping people happy, which is not an easy job.
Yeah, no, you're right. And where is that balance? You don't want to. And I think Carolina has a good balance. I think I think that's what I really like about the place. Broad-based program. Mm-hmm. People respect it. They celebrate the success of the broad-based nature of what we offer. I think that's really, really good.
You have time for 2 more thoughts?
Sure.
Okay. Financially, and again, something that you've been saying, you were hired obviously in the middle of an NCAA investigation, long case. That was your primary objective, get through that case. I think from the day that ended, though, you started talking about, hey, guys, I know the Smith Center is this jewel in the middle of campus, but we're leaving money on the table and how it's currently constructed. So you've been talking about this really from the very beginning of your tenure at Carolina. I saw some plans this summer that have been presented. Where are you on trying to get kind of the modernization of what to me is the number one brand in all college basketball, trying to get that facility to match what is the number one brand in all college basketball?
Yeah, I think within the next couple of months, we'll get all the final reports. We've hired a number of different architecture firms and financial firms to look at and assess the current building, its infrastructure, and what we need to do if we renovate the arena. We're looking at multiple sites, both on and off campus, to say, okay, can we build something new? If so, how much would it cost? And what would the economic driver of that be? We're a couple of months away from getting the final reports and then trying to digest it and then, have the chancellor make a recommendation to the board. So I'd say maybe late as next summer, but probably sometime in the spring that we'd probably get to some kind of a recommendation. And there's great, I hear the pro. Now you talk about getting email. Boy, we've gotten a lot of email about this topic, so I appreciate you bringing it up. It'll give me something to do later in the week. That'd be really nice of you guys.
Hey,
what does it mean for my seats, Bubba?
I know you're on the priority. I'm on your priority list, right?
Absolutely.
I'm going to take care of you on this one. I got Dundon for you. We got Brian Fork for you. My guy, Philip Isley. That season that you need to play basketball somewhere, the Lenovo Center is yours. I'm telling you, man, I can make this happen for you. Your fans would be ecstatic.
I mean, they're used to winning there.
They always win. Your win percentage there is off the charts. Okay. So, you joke, I'm on your priority list, but I'm telling you, man, I can help you. You just let me know.
I will make sure I write that one down. I need to make sure I can circle back with you.
Oh, I can already tell the people are like, go back to Carmichael and never leave, much like with Reynolds and NC State. Look, I only have one request with the Smith Center renovations or whatever you do going forward. You just have to dedicate one area for the trough. That's all I ask. You can't get rid of the trough. It's iconic, Bubba. Okay.
When we were in Minnesota, I got a tour of the barn in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And 98 years old, the barn.
Yeah. Iconic.
They have troughs.
Yeah.
We're a mere kid. We're at 40 years. You kidding me? We're not even halfway home yet. I
got to plant one more seed for you here. Because you are going to be the head of the selection committee for the men's NCAA tournament. That's awesome. I want you, when you're on CBS, there's 2 things. You ready?
Ready.
I just need you to admit on the selection show the day of, when like Belmont gets in and a power is in the first 4. I just need you to explain to everybody, hey, listen, guys, just so you know, we save one spot in the first 4 every year for a mid-major, just so you know. Like, I'm not going to give you any other explanation. I don't care what their wins above bubble was. I don't care what their quads were. This is what we do on an annual basis. We save one spot in the first 4 for the mid-majors. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, I also want you to go on CBS that night in front of everybody and say what your record is against the other teams in the field matters. What you did against the other teams in this bracket matters. Because I think that has become the ultimate criteria in the NCAA tournament. We just don't articulate it.
Okay.
So I'm asking you to be the one to articulate that for me.
Okay. All right. So I can do that. I'm going to have trouble. I will have to admit, I'm going to have trouble trying to tell you what the record against the tournament field is for all 68 teams. I maybe just kind of do it in generally. You don't want me to do it for each team, do you?
Yeah.
No. But what I'm saying is, last year there was a bunch of Big East teams who were left out, right? Or they felt like were left out.
Right.
And ultimately, when you went back and looked at Seton Hall and you looked at some of these other teams, all I said was, well, what did you do against the other teams who were in the tournament? Same thing happened at NC State in 2019. Ultimately, they did not beat enough teams. They played a bunch of games against teams in the tournament and they lost them. Bottom line, you can look at the whatever number you want to look at, the net, the quad, this, that, and the other. What you do against those other teams that those people in the room say are worthy of being in this tournament matters.
I think, Bubba, I think Joe is just angling for a job where he sits in the corner of the committee room.
No, Robbie's got that. She can handle that.
Okay.
Lawrence doesn't need me for that.
Yeah, but you can say
it, point to the passer, though.
You can say it in your own eloquent way, I think, is what I'm getting at here.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, Joe. I do think, Joe, I think a few not tweets, but a few texts to me, as we're going here, I think that would be helpful. Good reminders as the time goes on.
You're not allowed to text me anymore. So, I mean, I'm over here texting into the wind.
Same thing happens to me. I don't know why you get so offended by this. Also, I'm assuming you wanted to be the committee chair so you can finally figure out what net is.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, I want you to know how this whole committee thing came about. Each year, there's multiple people that get on the committee, and then your fifth year, somebody becomes the chair.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the only one in this class. And it wasn't even a unanimous vote that I became the chair. It was.
Whoa. Hold up. It wasn't unanimous? You think out of courtesy it would be unanimous?
What the heck? No, very disappointing.
Wait. Was there somebody from Pitt on this committee? Because I know the rivalry.
The rivalry is real.
I know the rivalry's real.
It is. I'm telling you, I'm still emotionally scarred by this change in the Pitt rivalry, but I'm getting over it.
No, I feel you. That's how I ended up becoming hockey team manager. I was just around for long enough. You look around and you're going, well, nobody else is going to do it. Might as well be you. That's Bubba Cunningham.
So what you're saying is that's what you took personal when you didn't get the unanimous
right
vote.
now. It's like, all right, I'm in. All right, Bubba, thanks for putting up with us. We will, hopefully we'll talk to you again.
All right. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it. See ya.
Big thanks to Whitaker and Hamer. I feel like you need a contract with Bubba about where exactly you are in priority. Put it in writing, Joe.
I'm on the list. I took that as a win.
That's good. Check them out online at wh.lawyer. Whitaker and Hamer, attorneys and counselors at law with locations all across North Carolina. Big thanks to Hometown Realty as well. It's funny. Bubba was making a reference to, well, I gotta call Brad Stevens. I gotta do all that, right? Back in the day,
was a deep cut.
That was a deep cut.
There was some scars there.
That was good. Bubba, look, man, Bubba's funny, man. So what Bubba got here too late in the process of the way you knew somebody was going to take that job at North Carolina was the Governor's Club. Was somebody buying in the Governor's Club?
Yeah.
Maybe you want to buy in the Governor's Club.
Yeah.
Hit up
You
Hometown
and Frank
Realty,
Beamer.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, Roy bought a house.
Yeah.
He's coming home.
Here.
Frank Beamer. Jeez. Anyway, check out myhtr.com. Talking about scars. The Frank Beamer one, that's a scar. myhtr.com. Hometown Realty is going to help you buy and sell with confidence. Julio's rocking that Rowback today. We got a lovely note from a listener yesterday about how he had purchased his dad a Rowback polo that his dad loves. His favorite polo.
We got to get Tom Rinaldi to read that email.
With the piano?
Yeah. I mean, seriously.
That would be good. That would be good.
Amazing.
So check out rowback.com, RHOBACK.com. Use that promo code OG20 to save 20% off your order. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline is Kyle Bailey, WFNZ Afternoons. And Kyle, I was listening to the show yesterday and I caught your conversation with Steve Smith, and I felt like Steve Smith was a good representation for all of us. He's a talker. he really was at a loss for what we've seen with the Carolina Panthers in the first 2 weeks. And then, of course, the benching of Bryce Young.
Yeah. I mean, I told you last night in the text that, someone who deals in words every day, I feel like my words are inadequate right now to describe the utter chaos and dysfunction that is the Panthers organization. And I mean that. Like, I'm sitting there yesterday in commercial breaks and thinking to myself, am I hitting the right things? Like, what? There's 17 different conversations to have as part of all of it.
Kyle, stop it. Cut the
What?
shit. You
What?
had the easiest freaking day of radio ever.
No, you're right. No, 100%. I'm not arguing that. That's not what I'm saying. All of it, 1,000%. I'm saying, am I shepherding this conversation in the correct direction?
Okay.
That's
Like, I
not
was
trying.
listening yesterday. I was listening from about like noonish or so. I was listening to Walker, Weston Walker. I was listening to you, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, I don't miss radio 99% of the time, but days like yesterday, man, you're just stealing money, dude. Read the text, open up the phones.
1,000%. And that is like, being in an NFL market, and especially one that's catastrophically bad right now, it does make for very simple programming decisions, no doubt about it. But just overall, as the week progresses, and listening to national coverage again this morning, checking in with you guys and all the various regional voices that I've put stock in, it's just interesting the ways that people are taking this. But it all ends up back with David Tepper.
Yeah.
More so than ever at this point. And I think understandably so. I was just listening to Jeff Saturday, absolutely in a polite manner, tear into him and the organization on ESPN a couple of minutes ago. And Mel Kiper doing the exact same thing. So they are and have been the butt of jokes in the NFL for a long time now. And somehow they manage that crescendo just keeps going higher and higher. It's not stopping anytime soon, apparently.
I can't be on the same fucking side of an argument as Mel Kiper. Damn it.
Well, you are.
Don't make me do this. Tepper. Killing me.
You see what you made me do, Tepper?
Biggest fraud on the planet. Oh,
Well, speaking of Tepper, has he shown up to Dilworth's yet? I saw the billboard.
I did.
I saw the new reader board that it had Baker Mayfield's record, it had Sam Darnold's record, it had Matt Rule's current record, and Bryce Young's current record. I mean, Tepper isn't going to be taking any hats, is he?
No, I wouldn't suspect so. I mean, I think he's made his lone appearance at that place. So I guess it's possible that he could stop back by there. I've never been a part of anything quite like this. It's truly amazing to watch not only the last 6+ years of no playoffs, watching the downward spiral, but just watching like this collective awareness within the city and the fan base that, it's not stopping anytime soon. And we think we're owned by, as some people perceive it, an evil villain. And, people are kind of coalescing around that. So it's pretty crazy to watch if I'm being honest with you.
All right. So Joe and I, we offered up our opinions at the beginning of today's podcast. Curious yours now that you've had about 24 hours to process the official benching of Bryce Young. Dave Canales going from Sunday, he's our quarterback, to I have to put this team in the best position to win, and Andy's the one that does this. And the potential of losing the locker room. Do you think that's a wrap for Bryce Young in a Panthers uniform?
No, I don't think so. Dave Canales, first of all, I've been thinking a lot about this because people were asking the question nonstop on the show yesterday. I got those texts one after the other. Do you think he's done? Do you think he's cooked? Will he ever play again? And I'm like, oh yeah, no, he'll play again.
Yeah, he's going to play.
Yeah,
he's going to play. Is where?
Right. Well, but I said, in fact, I don't think you've seen the end of him in a Panthers uniform this year. This season could still take a dozen different directions. Andy Dalton could get hurt on Sunday. You could see Bryce right back in the game if Andy gets his helmet knocked off, goes down for a series, whatever the case may be. So no, I don't think we've seen the last of Bryce Young in a Panthers uniform. And I don't think Dave Canales doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. No matter what you think about Dave Canales, his personality, it is authentic. I mean, that is who he is. And he does not strike me as a guy who is going to just throw Bryce out and give up on him after 2 weeks of the season. Now, he might have his suspicions that this is a project that's beyond his capabilities or was doomed to fail from the beginning, but I don't think he's going to throw Bryce out and just discard him yet. So I think we'll see more of Bryce this year. Next year, I have no idea. I really couldn't tell you at this point, but I think we see Bryce play again this year.
If the Dolphins want Diet Tua to replace Tua, what draft?
I hate you. I hate you for that question so much.
Pick would you take from Miami?
I got hit with this the other day too. I love this because Panthers fans, it's like, bro, have you not had enough? You're watching Sam Darnold's resurrection. You're watching Baker Mayfield's resurrection. Like so you want to send him to Miami, and some of your rationale is, oh, well, he did this with Tua, so he can fix Bryce. Just send him down. So you want to watch him go elsewhere and succeed too, huh? Yeah, like what is it with you people? So I don't know.
Alabama teammate, by the way, and the best player in the NFL. You can't play with Miami. What are you doing?
So let's send Bryce there for his own good. Is that what you're? No, I don't.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is.
Suddenly,
if you're going to move on from him, from him after this season anyway.
Yeah, you care enough about Bryce. Let's send him to the best possible situation. How charitable of you people. No, I don't get it. He's not going anywhere. Not right now anyway. There's no way I'd do that trade. Can you imagine the further humiliation that David Tepper and company would suffer if they did something like that, send him down there and he started playing well? Like, come on. It's kind of like Baker goes to LA, his first game with the Rams. And it's like, oh, Baker goes wild. And everybody's like, oh, well, was that a fluke? Like, why did that just happen? And now look at Baker. I mean, this is a Panthers problem. People leave here and get better. It is a Panthers problem. They need to fix that problem.
Yeah, but the thing is, I agree with you. This is a Panthers, like, from the top down issue. Right. And all of David Tepper's stewardship of this franchise has put them in a position where the team is just bad, straight up bad. But Bryce Young has also been bad. I mean, two things can be true at the same time. And that's why, the calculus of going from Bryce Young is our guy, we got to make this work. And we have to know, like Joe was saying yesterday, we got to make damn sure what we have in Bryce Young. Yeah. So you might as well play this thing out. But the sense that I'm getting,
which is why I get back to the argument about Tepper. This has to be Tepper.
See, I don't think so.
And now what Kyle's saying, though, we've talked enough about that, but what Kyle's saying, though, all along we've thought, well, Tepper came from Pittsburgh. He's going to be this, or, they've had some odious owners in Charlotte. You know who Tepper really is? Honestly, he's George Steinbrenner. That's who he is.
Yeah.
He needs to get suspended somehow and then have, Bob Watson come in and restock the farm system. Yeah. That's exactly what needs to happen. You're laughing at the Bryce Young trade. That's the definition of Ken Phelps being traded for Jay Buhner.
Can I say something about that? Because I'm glad you brought that up, because I got a ton of those texts yesterday too. And Joe, I think I know where you were going with that. And if not, correct me. But a lot of folks say, oh, this is Tepper. This has to be. Truthfully, I don't care. In this case, it had to happen.
Yeah.
Because and I felt this in week one when I saw him, and I tweeted out, pull him, put Dalton in, we're done here. Yep. And it wasn't because I was so angry at Bryce Young. It was because it became obvious that a guy who looked like he was building some confidence in the preseason and joint practice, and yes, one lone drive against the Buffalo's seventh stringers. We get all that. But it looked like he was building some confidence. The second he got back out there in a regular season game, fast-paced situation, he reverted back to shell-shock Bryce from last year. Yep. And you could see it. I mean, he was fleeing clean pockets. He was running from things that weren't there. You could see it week one. And week two was simply confirmation of that. So if there is any hope of salvaging this kid, he needs to sit. And whether that's the most important reason or not, I think it's equally as important that the other 52 guys on this roster deserve a chance to win, that the coaching staff deserves a chance to show that they're competent at their jobs as well. Yep. This doesn't have to mean you're throwing Bryce into the dumpster, but it does mean that 52 other guys deserve a chance to be competitive, and those coaches need to show whether or not this offensive scheme works.
Yeah, see, that's where I was going with this. We're focused on Bryce because that's what national football conversations have trained us to do. It's all quarterback all the time. We don't think of any other position on the football field, period. Even though 2024 is setting up to be the year of the kicker, okay, which I don't think Roger Goodell's happy about that because nobody's tuning in to watch the kicker. But the point is, we're focused on the quarterback. So we think, well, you got to fix him. Whoa. Other guys need to be able to function.
Yep.
And if the quarterback is making it that everybody else's job is increasingly difficult, including the defense, by the way, because you keep getting off the field and you keep putting the defense back out there. Well, something's got to give. And the sense that I got from Sunday, Dave Canales can say what he wants after the game, but I think once he finally got back in that room and he got a better sense of what was going on, you couldn't go back out to Bryce because then you would lose the room. You have an opportunity as a head coach. You don't get these opportunities. And while
Adam Thielen threw a fit. I'm sorry, Joe. Adam Thielen was throwing it. Adam Thielen doesn't do that. And he certainly knows.
Who was it? Taylor Moton also threw a fit too?
Yes, Taylor Moton. I mean, he was angry because Bryce could have stepped up. He ran right into a sack. Like, that offensive line has played well for the first 2 weeks of the season, and even better on Sunday. The interior was fantastic in week one. The tackles were pretty good. Icky was just okay. But he was better on Sunday. Across the board, they pass protected, 4 pressures and 29 dropbacks. Guys were open. Yes, you're right, Joe. When Adam Thielen is that theatrical, when Deontay Johnson, who claims to be on his best behavior, doesn't even want to speak to Bryce on the sideline, you have to do something. So
because you're messing up Deontay Johnson's money. It's not like he's going to be with the Carolina Panthers from here on out. You're messing up his money.
But you'll never know if it
You'll never know. You're messing up his money. You'll never know what you have in him. You'll never know what you'll have in Jonathan Brooks whenever it is he comes back. If your quarterback is shook.
Yeah.
And that's why. And that gets back to Dave Canales, because I know that's the other focal point. Well, you were brought here. We talked about this yesterday. You were brought here to fix Bryce. What if you can't fix him and you have a head coaching job that you don't have many opportunities to have? I got to win some damn football games. Otherwise, my job is going to be on the line. And that's the weird balancing act that Dave Canales has to pull off.
That's what gets back to our conversation yesterday about year 2 of Bryce. Year 1, you have to separate Reich from Canales. The real play here, and going back, now we all sound like idiots from yesterday, but the real play here from yesterday with a crystal ball is to say they should have done this last year. The Red Rifle should have been the starter last year. While it was pretty clear that the guy couldn't handle it and they had a fake injury, and the one good game they looked good was when the Red Rifle played.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is what they should have done last year. So now that Canales is in here, maybe he did say, maybe you're closer to the point of like, all these other guys are like, hey man, I want to win. Like, cool that you spent all this to get the number 1 pick and you're trying to make him work, but what about what's going to give us a better chance on a day-to-day?
You can't coddle him.
Yeah.
Well, no, and I'm flying out to Vegas Thursday night, and I've been dreading this trip for about 7 days now. Now I'm kind of excited and I wasn't really dreading a trip to Vegas, but the Sunday football game specifically, now I'm really intrigued to see what this looks like. And hey, they may still suck. Andy Dalton hasn't played a real football game in a year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it might not be awesome. Passing offense is down around the league. So this could also be an eyesore, but I bet you the guys in that locker room play a little bit harder on Sunday. I bet the lines has swung 3 points.
Yeah.
Circa hit me yesterday and said that there was an immediate drop from 7.5 to 6.5. Yep. They dropped it a point, and then by the time I went off the air yesterday, Vegas Insider across the board, it was 4.5. So,
well, you know why? Andy Dalton is undefeated against the Raiders.
He's undefeated. That's absolutely right. So
that's why you do this. The Red Rifle knows how to beat the Raiders.
Yeah, he knows how to beat the Raiders. So I'm actually excited. You might be able to see if that offensive line plays the way they have the first 2 weeks. Andy will have opportunities, and Andy's a 3-time Pro Bowl quarterback. I expect he'll take advantage of some of them. So I liked your point about the defense. Those guys don't know what it's like to play with a lead. Maybe they get lucky and get the opportunity to do that later this week. So it is a mess. The Carolina Panthers are an absolute dumpster fire, but also just a treasure trove of conversations and stories and angry fans here in Charlotte. So it has been a wild 9 days on this beat.
Kyle Bailey, WFNZ Afternoons in Charlotte. Appreciate it, man. I said yesterday was easy. Today's easy, too. The whole week's freaking easy, man. You're stealing money today. And this week.
I earn it in the 3rd week of July. So.
That's fair. That's fair.
You're also going to earn it when we get the World War II payback, the Giants versus the Panthers in
That's
Germany.
Exactly right. Can you imagine?
That week, other than that one joke that you can make over and over again is like, those two teams are going to have maybe 1 or 2 wins between the two of them.
Oh, it's going to be
doldrums. That's going
to be so bad. And last point, real quick, in case we have Panthers fans looking for some semblance of hope. Malik Willis threw a touchdown pass in an NFL game on Sunday.
Whoa, Kyle, if we're going to do this, we already
got to do it right.
Look, we already put Walker Mell on game. We're going to put you on game. Okay.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
You being the Radiohead that you are.
Sure.
You steal because radio is all stolen bits. So you steal the Bobby Bones bit.
Tell me something good.
All right. So here's the setup. All right. Here we go. On the count of 3, Joe, we're going to do tell me something good, and then Kyle's going to come in with something good. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Tell me something good.
All right. Malik Willis threw a touchdown pass after he was declared a bust. Sam Darnold is back. Baker Mayfield looks like arguably the best quarterback in the NFC today. And Jordan Love benefited from sitting for a few years. So maybe Bryce Young's going to be okay.
There we go. Nailed the bit. Let's go. All right, Kyle Bailey, WFNZ. All right, man. We'll talk to you later. I'll be listening today.
Thank you, boys. Appreciate you.
Big thanks to O2 Fitness. More than a gym, Gilio actually went out to renew part of the O2 Fitness family to get work on his neck. Although I feel like after your incident earlier today, you need to just go over there and say, please, where's the towel?
Let's make this happen. My friend. The app is my friend. I've been very pleased with this whole process. It's a holistic approach. So the only thing I'm not pleased with, Krista, she's like, yeah, because I told her yesterday, because we had JP on, we'll have him on again tomorrow, talk about injuries. And she's like, oh, did anybody come on, from our O2 family? I said, yeah, JP came on. It's like, oh, okay. And then I said, I'm going to have you on the podcast. She's like, oh, yeah, that'd be great. And she goes, what will we talk about? I go, well, your disappointment in me. Not being that other Joe Gilia.
Yeah, that other Joe Gilia.
She's like, yeah, that's just crazy that there's two of you. That can't be that common of a last name. And I'm like, again, you're still working through this.
So disappointed.
I got to do something to win you over on this stuff.
You will not be disappointed with O2. So I'll probably head out to O2 this week to go get those gains. Yeah, not really. I'm just trying to get a sweat in, man. Like I am not going to get back into. I never had abs to begin with, but I would like my clothes to fit and be comfortable again. That would be nice.
Well, they have
O2 helpful.
They got all the treadmills and all that, but you are like into something else there.
Oh, that ARC trainer, dude, will kick your ass.
Trainer.
Now, speaking of getting back into shape, that's where our friends at Happy and Hale can help you. All part of the O2 Fitness thing. You've got Renew, as Joe's checking out right now. There's also Loop Nutrition, because if you're going to get yourself into the right spot, well, food matters too.
Speaking of app help.
Well, that's where Happy and Hale comes into play.
Let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hale.
With Happy and Hale, I know I've seen this at the North Hills location. They got a QR code that'll help you with Loop Nutrition to help you understand what it is you're eating to help you out. But look, all that's fine and dandy. Am I going to have a good meal? That's ultimately what matters. And you're going to have a good meal at Happy and Hale. Download that app because it makes it super convenient to get in and out and move about your day. So big thanks to Happy and Hale for being a corporate champion. Also, big thanks to Matt Davis over at State Farm, a true OG. You can call him right now at 919-779-8277, insuregarner.com or theoginsurance.com. I'll be spending some time in Garner this week, like I do every week.
Oh, we got a classic in the Matt Davis Big 12 this week.
What do we got?
It's a conference game.
Oh, hell yeah.
Which one's in the Big 12? Which one isn't?
I don't know.
Are they both?
I don't know.
Houston versus Cincinnati.
The fighting Satterfields?
They're both in the Big 12.
All right. You could have told me they weren't. And I would have believed you. I think you told me that they both jumped for the Pac-12.
Well, there was a game last week where there were two Big 12 teams, but it was a non-conference game because it was signed last year or 2 years ago before Arizona had joined.
Whoops.
So there was an Arizona-Kansas State non-conference game between two Big 12 teams.
So check out Matt Davis, 919-779-8277. All right, Joe. So we spent some time talking about App and ECU, and these are fun games to be played in the state of North Carolina. And this is something that Sean Clark after the game talked about. This is from App State's YouTube account, and here's Sean Clark on what it means to go down to ECU and win this series.
That you guys won this series.
It's huge. This is a great game, and while we don't play these kind of games every year with Power 5 programs, Group of 5 programs, man, we are shortchanging fans in the state of North Carolina. This is great for everybody. It keeps the money in state. Why would we do? Our fans travel down here so well tonight. So why would we do this? This is what college football is about. Instead of worry about all the things that don't really matter.
So that's Sean Clark.
Amen. Amen.
I'm with Sean Clark on that. I've seen some pushback on the whole, like, it's good for the economy. Well, what are you talking about? Wouldn't it make more sense to bring people out of state into the state, as if those people don't already live here, right? Like, we already know there's Syracuse fans that live here. Nobody's coming up from upstate New York to watch Syracuse play football down here. Or Louisiana Tech, for that matter. There could be some stray alumni that live around here. That's cool. No, when you talk about tourism in the state, there's an entire division of marketing within the state for in-state tourism. And look, maybe this is something that's near and dear to my heart because I do the 919 Vice podcast. And you know how many times I've talked to breweries who have set up various tap rooms because it adds to a reason to go to various cities.
Yeah.
Asheville gets on the map, not because people are coming in from other states, people from Raleigh.
Yeah.
There are so many Asheville breweries that have opened up spots around here because so many people from Raleigh were going to Asheville. So it's all about that in-state tourism. That matters. And you're going to get way more App State people to show up to Daddy Ficklin than you are, I don't know, Indiana coming on down to ECU or going up to the mountain. So good on Sean Clark, because he's absolutely right.
And after losing the way that they did at Clemson, for them to bounce back and be down 16-0 in that game where ECU really had that thing running hot. Again, Joey Aguilar, speaking of guys that are going to be hard to hold on to again in that offseason, he performed at a really high level. Good for Sean Clark. Now they have a little bit of a challenge. They both had, those two programs now are really connected. I would love to see them play on the regular.
Yeah.
But now they have like this little Liberty off too, this little triangle with Liberty. So this week it's ECU. Next week it's a huge showdown for App State against Liberty.
Topics, stack it up. Julio's roll back it up. Well, I know what we'll do. A lightning round.
I don't think we gave Cal enough due on Monday. They have really embraced the hashtag GoACC lifestyle like nobody's business. They had a card trick night, and apparently the coach in their win against San Diego State had to get on the mic and tell Cal fans to stop throwing those cards from said card trick onto the field.
Fans, we love you. Stop throwing the cards on the field. That's 2 15-yard penalties. Please stop throwing the cards on the field.
You cannot contain the Cal Hive, okay? So much so, they're playing Florida State. They're going to Tallahassee.
Closing time.
This has the potential to be like, this is the perfect marriage of here's your new ACC. Here's Florida State, who's been pounding the table about we are this. We need to leave.
We're the real brand
because we're the real brand, and you would be nothing without us. And now they're 0-3, and Cal's coming to town, and there's a very real possibility that Cal wins.
Cal's coming to town feeling good.
Yes, they are. And I was again. I'll use this reference again. It's the Shaq meme. Cal fans, internet Cal fans. I was not familiar with your game. I apologize because they are on the level of UConn basketball shitposting. They are on the level of TCU football shitposting. This is from Reddit because they're going too doke. Woke back mountain with Oski and the Seminole. Oski the Bear, a straight Seminole, Cal Twitter, Governor Ron DeSantis. Because remember, this all started thanks to the Auburn AD who was calling out Cal Berkeley. This is from the Shutdown Fullcast Reddit.
Our friends.
Expect us. Woke Campbell Stadium. That's so good. And one more. It's a Chapel Roan reference. And if you're into Chapel Roan, she's got some catchy tunes. She's come out of nowhere. It's like baby Cal is coming for you, masking up for Florida, following Oski, sending cancel culture blitzes, woke mob defense kisses. Cal, welcome to the league. You guys are fantastic. Curious what you guys got cooked up for the start of basketball season. Did you know baseball was still going on?
I did.
You know what made me realize why I forgot it was baseball season? It wasn't because of the start of the football season. It's because Orioles fans, specifically one Oriole fan that we know, has been quiet. And I'm like, hold up. Have the Orioles fallen off? Like, what's going on here? And then I looked at the MLB standings today. Because the playoffs start in a couple weeks?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's almost time, man.
It's almost time. So I looked. I'm like, where are the Orioles? Oh, they're 3 games back of the Yankees. That's why my timeline hasn't been flooded
in the playoffs, though.
Has not been flooded with Orioles. Well, they're not going to win the division.
Probably not, but obviously they'll be one of the 3 wild card teams.
Which I know in this day and age of modern baseball, being a wild card team might actually be beneficial to you. But, that's neither here nor there. But it is one of these things where it dawned on me. I really have no idea what's going on in baseball. None.
I'm not going to front.
I don't know how we got here.
I lost a shit ton of money on baseball gambling this year. So,
oh, is that what it is? So I'm assuming the Yankees are going to do the thing where they're going to win the division. People are all hyped up on Aaron Judge,
and they have no pitching,
and their pitching sucks. And then then they're going to get flamed out, and that's that, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
correct.
Got it.
You have that square.
Perfect.
Yes.
The Guardians are good, from what I could tell.
Cleveland is very good. They have a really good bullpen.
People are still hurt, like in their feelings about Houston. Astros continue to be good, and they're still bringing up the whole cheating scandal.
Houston started slow, but has been one of the best teams.
And then another reason why I know I'm falling off on baseball, because my timeline's not inundated with a bunch of stuff, is that the Braves stink, right?
They don't stink, but they are a game out of the playoffs right now.
Okay.
They've obviously been just ripped apart by injuries, kind of up and down their line. Their pitching is atrocious.
Gotcha. I almost feel like when the season's over, should we bring, well, that's if Rand ever texts us back.
It requires
a little baseball therapy.
He says, speaking of housekeeping, he will be with us at the can opener next Thursday.
Ooh,
for
okay.
OG Live.
That'll be fun.
We have that.
That'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that.
It's a lightning round. It's the lightning round.
And finally, Monday Night Football last night. I thought it was like Monday Night Football was a blast last night. I don't know why Ryan Clark and Jason Kelsey looked like rejects from New Jack City.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Clark's got a suit collection that looks straight out of the Nino Brown collection. Or maybe he's just going 1997 prom. I don't know. Because I had a tux that looked a lot like what he was wearing last night. Meanwhile, Jason Kelsey's wearing like the Philly Jersey Italian look with the velour. And again, I thought it was something out of New Jack City.
I love it when you don't respect my losses.
What do you mean?
Check your screen.
Paying for Saquon Barkley anytime touchdown bettors. That was you?
That was ruled initially a touchdown.
Oh, no.
The person touching him is none other than Wake Forest nemesis Jesse Bates.
Oh, no.
This is why they're not my deeks in football. Only.
Oh, I see.
Only with Steve Forbes and hoops. A $645 overturn right there for me.
Well, I love
how close.
I just love
look how close
the instant reaction we have to these things. After 1 week, it's like, oh man, Kirk Cousins looks terrible. Then last night, it's like Kirk Cousins led them to a
Kirk's
win.
back, baby.
He's back. Well, this is from Next Gen Stats. With just under 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, the Falcons had just a 0.7% chance of winning the game. You're rolling your eyes. That 0.7% chance of winning probably goes up when Saquon Barkley doesn't catch the ball.
Sure.
You know, a lot of people are like, how do you not run in that situation? I don't know. Maybe Saquon can catch the ball. Just a thought. Just a thought. Just want to put that out there. But speaking of those
Chances
losses,
of me ever saying something nice about Saquon Barkley ever again are very, very remote.
Joe, last night wasn't good for you, but you know what? There's always today, tomorrow, and the weekend. Big thanks to DraftKings. Check them out. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. We were talking about anytime touchdowns. Those are things that you could do on DraftKings. Didn't work out for Gilio in this situation, but maybe it'll work out for you. So if you're ready to place your first NFL bet, try betting something simple like an anytime touchdown. That's the easiest way to kind of understand and process. And then you can graduate to my level, like I have in my sports wagering journey, where you go from graduate to my level.
Get on my level.
Get on my $5 gang level, where you're just putting $5 on these single game parlays because they're like, I could see that happening. I could see that happening.
Yes.
Or like I had fun on Saturday where I was doing these $1 bets to try to like build back up. So I can then
a lot of different options.
There's a lot of different options. Look, I had 74 cents left because I had cashed out. And I was like, what can I do with 74 cents? You can turn that around like I did. I got $22 whole in the account right now.
It's actually pretty impressive
that I've turned around from 74 cents. So you can do that with DraftKings, the sportsbook app. Use that promo code OG24. New customers will get $250 in bonus bets when they bet just $5 and they get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. We referenced it with Kyle Daly about the line moving for the Carolina Panthers, all because of Andy Dalton. I think has the line moved at all because of that State Clemson game, or without Grayson McCall? I think
it was 17.
I think your friend Josh Goodson pointed out that the line had moved to like 20.5, if I'm not mistaken.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. It's up to 20.5.
I think I know the reason why.
Why?
Vegas got a hold of the Instagram clip that I put of you saying, "Hey, F you,
Yeah,
we're still Clemson."
this is one of those games, man.
That got caught up in the Clemson social media sphere finally. I was waiting to see when Clemson fans would catch it. Sure enough, it's gotten in that jet stream. And maybe that's why it's moved up to 20.5, because you're like, oh, Giglio said it's at home, it's state. Yeah, F you, we're still Clemson.
We're still Clemson.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Still about that life.
So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. Get that promo code and get $250 in bonus bets when you make that happen. All thanks to our friends at DraftKings.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball.
Big thanks to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority for being our corporate champion. With Mosquito Authority, you can go to bugsbite.com, bundle and save. Got Mosquito Authority taking care of the outside of the house. With Pest Authority, they can take care of the inside of the house. So again, check them out, bugsbite.com. Big thanks to Two Roosters as well. Two Roosters has the website that you can check out their flavors. Two Roosters has their rotating monthly flavors. Sometimes they're so good that you feel compelled to buy gallons of it, like Joe Giglio did when it came to that peanut butter cookie. You might fall in love with the flavor and buy gallons of it. But you can find out more at tworoosters.com. And there's also the Secret Pint of the Month Club as well. It's not that secret. There's a QR code at Two Roosters that you can scan and go from there. And hey, make a whole entire day out of it. You can go to the Lake Boone Shopping Plaza, the OG Corporate Champion headquarters, where you've got a Two Roosters. And you also have a butcher's market there. That is a fully operational butcher's market. Great lunch items with their sandwiches. But most importantly, all the tailgate needs you could ever want will be satisfied at the butcher's market. You can get charcoal. You can get the seasoning. Most importantly, you can get great cuts of meat to throw on the grill. So head on over to the butcher's market. Check them out, butchersmarkets.com. Again, that's thebutchersmarkets.com. We thank them for being an OG corporate champion. All right, Joe, let's get out of here with some Hey Joe questions. You can also call the sports phone if you want. You can call it at 919-444-2211. Let's go to the YouTube comments where we got Curtis. Is David Tepper ruining the Panthers to run the fan base away and claim low attendance so he can move the team elsewhere, or stripping it down to sell to the public investment fund? There's been a lot of this making the rounds. We referenced it yesterday from a Twitter user. Now it's on the YouTube. This is not Major League. This is not a movie.
Right.
There's not, I don't think Dave Canales has a cutout of Dave Tepper that they're going to remove pieces of clothing all the way down to just his hat.
Might be fun.
Yeah, maybe we could do that. Yeah. Every time they win, we take a piece of clothing off of David Tepper.
Radio bit.
You know what? We're going to start it this weekend.
Scarf, jacket.
Done.
Yes.
Here we go. Just start taking clothes off. I'll do the Photoshop skills, right?
Here we go.
Anyway, I'm going to put that Adobe AI generative to work.
Make sure he's got a bra.
Like Zeus.
Just like Zeus.
But no, this is not Major League. Don't misunderstand straight incompetence for some sort of conspiracy. They're not the same thing. You have to play Dalton to see if the pieces you got on offense are going to develop and work. Right now, you can't evaluate them because Bryce can't get the ball to him yet. We talked about that with Kyle. Makes total sense. Let's see, from Sean. Really, who is any coach without a next level college quarterback or NFL coach with a Hall of Famer? Belichick, Peyton, Reed, Carroll, Mac Brown, Dabo. Yeah, I mean, look, it's all tied together, but some coaches can differentiate themselves not just because of the quarterback. From Steve, can I have a rebuttal on all these positivity wolf hotline calls? And it could always be worse wolf calls. Wow, fair enough.
You know how he feels.
I know how he feels. From Wolfpacker, I would rather just skip or get my butt on the treadmill for 30 minutes than getting a non-ice cream from Two Roosters. That's the whole kissing your sister vibe. I'm like, look, guys, it has nothing to do with being fat. It has to do with being slightly lactose intolerance. We call it the Ovius curse. No, we just can't handle lactose all that well. That's all I'm saying. From Drew.
Oh, Drew.
Love the show, but tell me something good segment is officially played out, buddy.
Clearly, you do not listen to morning radio, sir.
We are just getting started. Okay. We are just getting started with that. All right. Let's hit the sports phone before we get out of here. 919-444-2211 if you'd like to leave a message on the sports phone.
Hi, guys. It's Rod. I had a little time before the start of the season, and I wrote another poem. It's about the Panthers, and it's called Panthers Woes. Oh, the Panthers roar is more a meow, another Sunday stumble. Here we go now. With Bryce Young in the pocket, what can we say? Seems like his best game plan is to run away. The O-line's crumbling like yesterday's bread. Bryce looks lost, confused like a teenage kid that just received head. He's got talent, sure, but where's the grit? You know, every throw feels and looks like shit. The defense leaks, the offense stalls while the coaches stand and play with their balls. The Panthers roar has lost its bite, and every Sunday is a painful sight. Well, Carolina, it's tough to stay true when every game just leaves us blue. So here's to Sundays filled with woe. I think this Sunday I'll just find me a hoe. Thanks, guys, and I hope we talk soon. Bye for now.
See, Rod clearly sees that we curse too much on this program, so we're offending a lot of people.
So one, that was not Rod's number that left a message on the sports phone. Two,
he said Rod.
I get it.
There's more than one Rod.
You're right. I know what Rod he was going for. You know what I need out of that?
What?
I need an again.
Again.
I need a Canadian again. A.
Hey, Joe and Joe, it's Bluegrass Matt. You guys are killing me a good way with the tell me something good singing. Look, it's in my head all the time. Get up, guys. I love the show. What I was calling to tell you about is a story from the Oakland Raiders. You've been talking about Jamarcus Russell. I know for a fact, 3 people who used to work for the Raiders when Jamarcus Russell was there. His nickname. The team was Jallard Ass. Curious if you think Bryce Young has a nickname, seems like a likable guy, but you got to wonder, you have another name for him. Guys, care.
I feel like we're going to have to workshop that with Bryce. Bryce is too nice.
Probably what Dimitri calls him. His tiny sweet prince.
Yeah, it's his tiny sweet prince. Tiny sweet prince. Poor tiny sweet prince, man. It did not go well for him in the castle. It's too bad. It's like the antithesis of a Disney movie. Not great. Not great. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Thanks to everybody who has liked, subscribed, followed us, given us 5 stars. 5 stars only. Positive vibes only. We will see you Wednesday.